Well, we left Georgia. We had 1 week in Kentucky, and the weather there was beautiful. I mean, it was up in the 60s and really, really nice weather. Two groups with the Kentucky LTAP program, the Local Technical Assistance Program, outside of Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And we got there, able to make the little bit of lost time. The wind picked up a little bit, and we had some little bit of problems getting the training going and the piles and damaged. But the last day was a beautiful spring day, and we were able to make up the time that we missed there. We pulled into a KOA for the weekend, and it started raining on Saturday. We had a pretty good day of rest, but it was a pretty wet weekend. Sunday we packed it up and headed on up to the Joliet, Illinois area, and there we came into another front. The wind started coming in. We got there, it started kind of blowing a little bit of snow around and some sleet. It was about, 39 to 40 degrees, but the wind chill was well below freezing, I think, for sure. Pretty chilly afternoon. The area we're at in Joliet is the Sugar Creek Prairie Restoration Project, and a great group of trees we had to work with along a forested line. We had the first day we were working inside with the classroom. We went out, we did a demo. We had about 30 people total, and we went over to that tree line and was able to do a demo and a little bit of dropped one tree and took a look at some limbing and bucking things. The second day with the second smaller group went very well. It was a little bit less windy and kind of a really nice spring day. Leaving Joliet, the next stop was Oak Brook, Illinois, and just kind of, I think, northwest of Chicago. Beautiful park there. We were in Central Park. They had a new area they had put in recently for disc golf, frisbee golf, and so we were taking out some dead trees along those areas, make it a little safer for the participants. And we had a big group and then two smaller groups. We divided up there also and worked into the tree stands. And then we had one area around a lake area with some spruce trees that had died, and then also some birch trees. So we were able to work those, and it was a really nice morning, that first morning of the first group. And then the wind started to pick up a good bit on the second day. Leaving Oak Brook, we headed over to Cary, Illinois. And at Cary, we had a group of about, I think, 14, something like that. And there we had a park right across from a community center, but they ended up with some issues in taking out the trees there. And so they located a spot over where they had just put in a new aquatic center, a new pool area and all. And there was a farm field down there that we were able to get along a fence line and take some trees out there. And the wind was really howling. It was down in a little ravine, so it helped us to kind of stay out of the wind some, but the wind probably changed 5 different directions that day, and it was pretty hard to maneuver around there with anything. We just had to kind of play with the wind. But the trees that came out, those were come out around the fence line there, and so it worked out pretty well. There was some great situations for storm once we got those down. But talking about weather and training, it's pretty tough sometimes if you don't have 2 or 3 days in a workshop, because you've got different issues with participants, you have different issues with the sites. Sometimes they're close by, sometimes they're far off. And then sometimes you have to deal with thunderstorms coming through, or you have to deal with, sometimes lightning, sometimes heavy rain. And so having a large group for day one demonstration, we can usually be able to work around a little bit in the classroom portion. But then for the hands-on classes, it's nice to have a little smaller groups and be able to work with the situations around the weather. And so very important to have a 2 or 3 day workshop. If we didn't have the luxury of the 2-day workshop, we would have issues as we travel around trying to complete the programs, because it gets kind of challenging. The weather has always been a game changer. There's no doubt about it. It's something that creates the reason for the training, to be able to take and be able to pre-train situations of people going out and handling the storm cleanup on the roads or in the forested areas. And so it works very well to be able to plan and to work with different pressure and bind situations. But having small enough groups and time to work around the weather situations is an important part of organizing these training workshops. And we appreciate the organizers that we have, and all of the work that they do to be able to locate the trees, and then to be able to hopefully have positive weather days to be able to work with the groups. I think sometimes we end up with a lot of folks in the classes. The first day is not too bad. We can handle pretty big numbers, but when it comes to the day 2, the hands-on, and the day 3 with the storm debris, it's so important that we have a smaller groups to be able to work with. But that's kind of the process, and we really enjoy working with these areas in Kentucky and Illinois, and the Parks and Recs departments that are involved there, and the different cities and towns, their people. It's quite interesting. Get to meet a lot of good folks, and really have techniques and applications that work towards their work, their daily work. So anyway, that's a little bit to think about with weather and planning some situations with training, and hopefully we'll see you somewhere along the Forest Apps Road with a program, and we wish you good sawing.